Hey everyone, this is Carla. And this being Mother's Day weekend, I'm going to dedicate this episode of Projectiles to Mother's Day, as in mothers, the original project managers. So I wanted to talk about several ways that mothers are the original project managers. So I'm going to, of course, do the triple constraint of cost, time, and scope, but I also want to add some additional things into it. So, with time, mom was always able to get pack so much into so few hours for cost. My mother was always able to do so much more with less. And even to this day, it's amazing how much stuff she can do just like on a very small budget. And then when it comes to scope of what I call keeping the main thing, being focused on one thing, although a whole lot of things are being thrown at you, that's something else that I wanted to say that mothers are very good at. So outside of the triple constraint, I also have been thinking about people and human resources. So you know the whole thing of joining, storming, norming, performing, and adjoining the life cycle of teams. Mothers are very good at that. And just imagine of like volunteering for the PTA when one of the officers gets sick, selling the Girl Scout cookies in the office, making sure that other kids get rides home when you're the designated person. So you have to look at people management, which is very big because mothers are your first teachers and they do a lot of the people management. Another thing is, I would say, procurement or getting the most for your buck, which is similar to cost, but seeing what you can get or what you're currently working with in a make or buy decision. So, one of the first decisions you make when doing creating a procurement management plan is deciding whether or not you can make it or buy it. And that's something that a lot of mothers do. And if they could make it or they could repurpose it or recycle it, like we're talking about gifts, we're talking about hand me down clothing, we're talking about recycling other things that have similar purpose to something that you don't completely have to rebuy anymore just to get it. If it does 80% of the stuff, that's another thing that I think mothers are the original project managers in. I would also say stakeholder management. And one of the big things for project managers is identifying stakeholders. So a stakeholder is someone who has a positive or negative effect on your project. And stakeholders, one of the biggest things with project management is people only believe you identify stakeholders in the initiating. You have to go through all five phases from initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and closing. So mothers are very good at identifying the players and the people who have affect them, whether or not it's at school, at work, special events, the sports that they pick up, ballet. So they understand that very well also. Also, another thing that I would say about mothers is quality. We have quality management. And the quality management is making sure that something is of a certain standard. And especially for children, they want to make sure that they exceed their own standards. So we have things called baselines and performance baselines and earned value, which is very complex for cost. But from a quality standpoint, that is extremely important, and mothers work very hard towards instilling quality performances in their children so that they can be better for the next generation. Another thing that mothers are very good at and are the original project managers are requirements. Very important. It's what you put your effort in. So requirements is, well, what's required, and to see and prioritize the importance of what's required for every project or things that you do throughout the day, and also to make the contingency plans once if something comes out of thin air, how to take what you currently have, what's required, and to uh, apply it if you have anything like any type of resource, people, or things you currently have, and take that and retrace it to something else. So these are several of the reasons, and I used almost all of the project management, like subsidiary plans of scope management, require management, schedule management, cost management, quality management, human resource management, communication management. That's very important. That's something I would mention. Communication, 90% of your job as a project manager is communication. And mothers know how to communicate with everyone from babies to toddlers to teenagers to preteen to adults, because a lot of our parents are caregivers, are raising their current children while serving as caregivers for their parents. So communication is very important. You have to communicate. If you're a caregiver, you probably have to communicate with Social Security, probably Medicare, a whole lot of things that are different. The nanny or the nurse that takes care of the person during the day, adult daycare because it's summertime, and vacation Bible study. And then finally, I would say risk. You know what's a big risk, you know what's a small risk, and you're very good at quantifying them on the fly and just assessing, doing risk assessments and seeing what's worth something and what's not worth something. So these are all the subsidiary plans that I mentioned, from scope, requirements, schedule, which is time, cost, quality, human resource, communication, risk, procurement, and stakeholders. So all of that mothers cover. And that's why for this episode of Project Ties, I say that mothers are the original project managers. So this concludes this episode of Project Ties. My name is Carla R. Jenkins. I'm your hostess. Get in touch with me, project management professional, certified Scrum and IDO with over 12 years project management experience. And you can sign up for a newsletter at bit.ly/PM Project Mail. And finally, if you would like to work with me, you can get in touch with me at carlarjenkins.com/work. So I would like to thank everyone for taking out the time to watch this